This is Job 20 and 19. It says, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he buildeth not. I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, and Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you brothers out there who are pushing this word in love, truth, sincerity, and humility. Once again, it's the brother Shathia from the Chicago camp coming back to you with what I hope is another quick and edifying sit down. Once again, this is Job 20 and 19. It says, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away a house which he buildeth not. And this quote is inspired by this video here on YouTube, and the channel is called Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust. And this guy has a lot of great info as in regards to the American economic and financial collapse. And the title of this segment that he has here is Bankruptcy Surge and Homes Taken Away from Older Americans at Alarming Rates. This video is not too long, but this guy has a lot of great material within the first, I'd say probably about eight minutes. You know, is very some very powerful and condemning information. So we're just gonna let this play, and we'll get some precepts and close it on out.
Hey everybody, JJ here. It is Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust, and today is Thursday, November 7th. Today we're going to talk about the alarming number of retirees and individuals in the United States aged 55 years or older that are filing bankruptcy, and also many people getting their homes taken from them in this age bracket. We're going to tie that in with the minuscule annual increases in Social Security, and we're also going to talk about the rising cost of medical, which happens to be the leading cause of bankruptcy for all Americans, but even more so for people aged 55 or older. So let's get into it. So we're going to start off right here. This is a Market Watch article. It's a recent article, and it highlights the alarming trends in the amount of bankruptcies being filed for this age group, 55 years or older. And the shocking part is some of these people are not even retired. There's many people between the ages of 55 and 65 that are still employed. Now, to get full benefits in the United States, you have to be, I believe, 66. So you see a lot of people do wait until that age to retire, but if someone has a good pension or a good retirement savings, it's very common for people to forego getting the maximum Social Security benefit for retirement, and many people retire early. Unfortunately, many people are finding that to be a mistake, and we're going to talk about a few situations here. Now, this report out of Market Watch, it highlights a study that was put out by some individuals from the University of Illinois, and it goes on to say the following. The percentage of Americans declaring bankruptcy age 55 to 64 has risen 66% since 1991. So we're talking less than 20 years, a 66% increase. That's pretty big. Now, here's the next statistic, and it gets a lot worse. The percentage of individuals aged 65 to 74 bankruptcies increased 204%.
Oh.
So 100% would have been a doubling. This is a 204% increase. So basically it has tripled also since 1991, less than 18 years, or less than 20 years, I should say. Now here's one of the most shocking parts out of this article, in my opinion. It used to be that retired individuals in the U.S. were some of the most financially stable ones, because think about it, many of those individuals bought their homes back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and so forth, when home prices were a lot cheaper, and when home prices were more aligned with an individual's income. So it was very typical back then to buy a home that might have been just double your annual salary. Right? So if you made $30,000, you could buy a home for $60,000. If you made $40,000, you could buy a home for $80,000, and so forth. Now we have people qualifying for mortgages that make $30,000, and they're getting $150,000, $200,000 homes, and people making $50,000 are getting $400,000 homes. It's pretty insane. But back then, when a lot of these individuals bought their home right, the lending was not insane. It was rare to hear the term subprime back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Right, that was before the too big to fail mindset that we have now in today's financial world. But that has taken, the stability of these individuals has taken a big downturn. Roughly 12% of bankruptcy filers are now age 65 or older, and that only used to be about 2% back in 1991. So when we say skyrocketed, it went from 2% to 12% of those individuals age 65 years or older filing bankruptcy. So that is about a 6 times increase, or six-fold increase in that number. All right, now here's the big one. It is...
Woo. And see, this is a huge reason why you got the opioid crisis, why you have mass suicide, all right, why you have deaths of despair. That's why you got psychiatric issues and problems on a mass scale. All right, because this is happening to the working class and the poor. Because you better believe this ain't happening to no rich people. Okay? This is happening to the working class and the poor, the people that have worked their whole lives to try to achieve the American dream. You know, the big house, the car, the picket fence, the 2.5 something children, pay everything off and fade into the sunset. That ain't happening. All right, now they're going to have to fade into a homeless shelter or the streets or a viaduct somewhere. All right. This is what's happening in America right now. Because you have to ask yourself, what does a person that's 60 or 70 years old have to look forward to when they're broke? They can't afford their house anymore. They can't afford their car. They can't even afford to eat. All right, in their mind, that the best thing to do is either get high or kill yourself. All right, that's why it says in what's that? Proverbs. I think it's Proverbs. Is it 29? Yeah, 29. Proverbs 29 and 18. And it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. As I said before, what type of hope is there for a man or a woman that's 60 or 70 years old that's worked their whole lives just to be broke because of inflation, and they have the type of retirement or pension setup that doesn't have a COLA. Yeah, COLA, COLA, that's just the acronym for cost of living adjustment. Okay? Because you have a lot of people, as he said, that, you know, back in the 80s or 90s to be able to retire at a job where they first started making $30,000 and retired at 80. Yeah, that was great for that day. But like I said before, you got inflation. So now that retirement check doesn't stretch the way it used to. This is what you have here in America. This is the only place where you can have the elderly and the geriatric work their whole lives just to have nothing. If that ain't a slave in the truest sense, I don't know what is. Hey, let's continue in this video.
Is because of medical cost, and it's cited here that medical debt is the main factor in 6 out of 10 people aged 65 years or older who file bankruptcy. This article goes on to highlight an individual named Steven who's age 66, and he's a retired handyman. He had to work after retiring to supplement his income. But injuries led to medical bills that he couldn't pay back, and those bills led to him filing bankruptcy this year in April 2019. So I guess one highlight out of this story or out of the entire financial system right now would be the fact that we can declare bankruptcy. So imagine how many more homeless people we would have if individuals were not allowed to file bankruptcy. We're going to get into another alarming trend here, and that's the number of individuals and a lot of older Americans getting their homes taken because of property tax delinquency. Recent article here out of Reason, a Michigan man underpaid his property taxes by $8 and some change. The county seized his property, sold it, and kept the profits. And this was all...
You see that? A man lost his house for $8.41. It gets better. I'm going to just let this play.
Perfectly legal under Michigan laws. And the subheadline here is, a state law allows counties to effectively steal homes over unpaid taxes and keep excess revenue for their own budgets. Okay,
let's get Isaiah 10:1. Okay, it says, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Destruction to those who write bogus laws. It says to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Because every person deserves the right to be able to have a home, a place so that they can lay their head, so they can be safe from danger, the elements, and other such things. All right. Let's continue.
Yeah, the article goes on to say the following. 83-year-old retired engineer in Michigan underpaid his property taxes by $8 and some change. And the county seized it, sold it off, and pocketed nearly $24,500 in excess revenue from the sale. So then the homeowner that gets the home taken gets charged the fees for auctioning it off and all the regulatory fees. And when it gets auctioned off to the cash buyer at some of these auctions, and people are getting sometimes $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 homes for just $40,000 or $50,000. So if the homeowner, the former homeowner that got the home taken, if they would have just sold it themselves, they could have made, double of what it gets sold for at these auctions. They could have easily paid back any unpaid property taxes and maybe went on somewhere to buy a lower cost home. But another sad part of this, a lot of these individuals are getting older. They are not very savvy on their finances. And that's one of the downfalls of property taxes, in my opinion. You have people that are maybe not in good health, people that start getting dementia, Alzheimer's. They can't keep track of their bookkeeping and their finances. And now you have this property tax that has to be paid twice a year in some states. And just think about if an individual gets hospitalized for several months, regardless of your age. What if you're in the hospital, you missed your bills, you miss your tax bill, and you come back home and you've got a foreclosure sign on your door, or maybe it was just a letter in the mail that got mixed up in a big stack of mail that you haven't checked in several months, and before you know it, it's too late. And a lot of people, they pay off their homes, they think they're home free, and they think property tax is no big deal. Well, it can be a big deal for some people, again, with these medical issues and other issues. Okay, this article goes on to say the following. This is a quote from Christina Martin. She's an attorney with Pacific Legal Foundation, a nonprofit law firm now representing older individuals and homeowners in a class action lawsuit against Michigan. And she says the following, quote, Michigan is currently stealing from people across the state. Counties have been authorized to take not just what they are owed, but to take people's life savings. Right, so you have the government in this case county, but authorized under state law to seize people's homes, sell it to pay off the back due taxes, and if the sale's not enough to meet the past due amount, then they go after the individual savings. Now, we had a report a few weeks ago about how people were getting, older individuals were getting their Social Security checks garnished because of unpaid bills, right? So basically, we're living in a country that used to be we the people, and now it's we the government, and the people can end up on the street. So it's pretty sad. And this article goes on to say that.
And you get it. That's all I need to play. So if I understand this correctly, if you miss out on your property tax, like this 80-year-old guy did, I'm sure by accident, and you can't pay the property tax, even if it's $8.41, they'll take your house. You get stuck with the transaction fees. And not only that, if selling the house doesn't cover the back pay, then you get stuck with another bill of paying that off, which they garnish out of your Social Security check. If that ain't fucking wicked, I don't know what is. Let's go back to that. Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Means destruction to you wicked Edomites who are going around, because I guarantee you this is not just happening in Michigan. Destruction to you Edomites who devised these laws to continually to oppress the geriatric and the elderly for your own filthy gain. It is good business in your mind to unlawfully, or should I say immorally, take a man and a woman, a family out their household. Without giving them a chance to make good. Destruction to you Edomites, man. Because this type of law is unjust, it is unrighteous, and is completely uncalled for. And it says to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. As I said before, a person that's gotten a job and worked their whole life to pay for a place that they could live and raise their family in some reasonable amount of privacy and safety. Any person who worked their whole life for that deserves a place to live, and they have the right for you to be able to give them every single option to make sure that they can stay in that place. Because what is a guy like this going to do? What is a woman like this going to do at 60, 70 years old? Okay, bounce around from homeless shelter to homeless shelter, from family to family. Only in Babylon the snake. That's why in, I want to say it's Ecclesiasticus, is it 29 or 39? You know what? I want to say it's 29. Where it talks about, yep, here it is, 29 and 21. It says, the chief thing for life is water, bread, and clothing, and a house to cover shame. Let me read that again. Ecclesiasticus 29 and 21. The chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and a house to cover shame. But now we live in a time where it's all about the money. Granted, it's always been about the money, but today it's just on a unprecedented, unrighteous level. All right? This state of Michigan has made it its goal to make the lives of the geriatric and the elderly a living hell. This is a huge reason why homelessness is on the rise. And let me skip down. What was that? Verse 24. For it is a miserable life to go from house to house, for where thou art a stranger, thou darest not open thy mouth. All right, these are the people that you see that are filling up the hospitals, all right, filling up the homeless shelters, that are filling up the psychiatric facilities because they need a place to stay. This is the reason why I forgot, but there was it was a lot of articles printed on this. But this is a huge reason why you have generations of family members living in one household. This is why you have places where you have the great grandparents, the grandparents, all right, the the mother and father and the kids, or the children, I should say. I forgot what article it was that they printed it out. It was maybe about a year or two ago, but it said that trend is skyrocketed. And this is the reason why. Because you have the rich continually to defraud the poor. And they don't give two craps. And it explains that in Wisdom of Solomon, the 2nd chapter, where it says, Wisdom of Solomon 2:11, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. So they take comfort in the fact that this is the law, and if you can't abide by the law, well, that's just too bad for you. If you're homeless, if you have to kill yourself, if you have to stay in a hospital, if you got to stay with other family members, well, that's just the way life is. Too bad. This is what you have over in Babylon the snake. Unrighteous decree after unrighteous decree after unrighteous decree. Like I said before, if you can work your whole life to try to so-called have something for yourself and make a decent living for yourself and your children, just to be 60, 70 years old and be broke and homeless with nothing but the clothes on your back, if that's not a slave, I don't know what is. And this is why the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, has to come back and get us. Because something like this can't go on forever. And this is the whole reason why you have these uproars and these protests in all these different countries around the world. And you better believe, with stuff like this, along with the other madness that these devils are doing, continues, you're going to have riots over here too. Hey, 2020 is going to be as the Edomites say, a humdinger. Because they are coming here. And if you ain't with the Lord, hey, brother, that's on you. Hey, that's, you know what? I'm not going to say anymore. This went on longer than what I wanted to be, but, nonetheless, I hope you all were edified. Once again, giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle elders, a great millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you brothers out there pushing this word in love, truth, sincerity, and humility. With that, we're going to say shalom.